Do the Bucks have a shot to make a run at a playoff berth? And what are your thoughts on this atrocious game?
Well, Kev, I will say that we did actually say that this game was going to be a grind. And that's exactly what it was. This game was just a full out trudge of a game. Both offenses struggled against the respective defenses. And even though that the Bucks won this game, Kev, I'm going to be honest with you. By the end of that game, bro, I just felt like nasty. It felt like I went through like 3 hours of just like going through mud, like just crawling through like a freaking military training exercise where I'm just like, there's barbed wire above my head and I'm in the mud and I just got to deal with this for the next 3 hours. That's what it was. It was just a trudge match the entire game. Now, granted, the Bucs won, so I got to give them credit for being able to essentially win this game at the end with Brady leading a clutch drive. And that last drive was sensational. It was really like the first time I'd seen the Bucs really open up their offense the entire day, and they were able to execute and finish the drive effectively with a touchdown with about 9 seconds left in the game. But up until that point, the Rams defense held them in it. Like the Rams were in that game. They led the game pretty much wire to wire, except at the end, and then maybe a field goal like in the first quarter. So this seemed like the Rams had this game well in their hand, and then they just found a way to kind of screw it up at the end. And I mean, when you lose a Tom Brady on a game-winning drive, it's nothing to be ashamed of. But the Rams defensively did everything that they could to be able to win that game, to only hold Tampa to 16 points. Man, you got to hold your head high after a performance like that. But I mean, just to kind of focus on the Rams here, Kev, I think their season is over. I know we're 9 weeks in. This is essentially the halfway point of the season. This offense, to say it's dysfunctional is an understatement. They just can't get anything consistently in the run game. It doesn't matter who you have back there, whether it's Cam Akers or Henderson. These guys are maybe lucky to get 2 or 3 carries a game. And not only that, just the lack of consistency in being able to protect Matt Stafford this year. I mean, it's been an eyesore. Stafford's getting killed back there. And the fact that he didn't turn the ball over today, I'll give him a thumbs up for that, because that's what kept the Rams in the game, because there weren't that many mistakes from Stafford, even despite the fact that the Bucs were bringing consistent pressure the entire day. But man, when it just comes to the Rams, this is a completely different team than last year. And I know there's been some personnel changes on the offensive line. I did not think it would be this bad. Kev, we picked this team to go to the Super Bowl this year. Now, granted, I know that was back in August, maybe early September, but this team looks awful. And they lost to a Tampa team that looks no better. You could honestly say that the Bucs and the Rams are essentially just a mirror of each other, because a lot of the issues that they have are very similar to one another. The only reason why the Bucs and the Rams have been somewhat viable this year is because of their defensive play. That's the only reason why like they're still somewhat in the discussion about possibly making the playoffs. The Bucs have a better chance just because they play in the NFC South, which is an absolute dumpster fire of a division this year. In the NFC West, when it comes to the Rams, they're in trouble. They're sitting at a sub 500 record. The Seahawks look like they're starting to run away with the division. We'll see what happens in the second half of the year. But I don't see any sort of viable pathway here for the Rams to get back into the groove unless they fix the offensive line. And I don't see that happening anytime soon. If Matt Stafford is able to pull this team, and I should actually rephrase that, if he's able to drag this team to the playoffs, I think this would be one of his greatest accomplishments throughout his NFL career. I mean, it's one thing to win a Super Bowl. I mean, that's a great achievement. But the way that this offense is playing right now, Kev, it hurts to watch. And like I said earlier, the Rams could have won that game. And they had opportunities to be able to extend drives, to convert on third downs against that Bucs defense, and they just weren't able to do it. That second half, they were just inconsistent. I remember one play in particular, Matt Stafford was third and goal or second and goal, I forget which down it was, had a wide open receiver in the end zone, ends up throwing it at the guy's feet. It's an incomplete pass. and then they have to end up settling for a field goal after that. And that was despite the fact they were inside the 10-yard line against the Bucs. And there were just multiple opportunities for the Rams to extend drives. They just couldn't do it. And then they just gave Brady too many times to work with to move the Bucs into position to score a touchdown, and they did. That Rams defense held up the entire game except for basically the last 2 drives. The Rams defense did what they needed to do. They just fell short when they needed to at the end. But by and large, when it comes to the Rams this year, I think their season is essentially over. I don't see how the Rams are going to be able to bounce back with all these issues on the offensive line, which is leading to inconsistency in the run game. And Matt Stafford has just looked like a shell of himself this year. I'm not really putting a lot of blame on him, but this all kind of ties back to the offensive line. And that's really why this whole team has just been dysfunctional this year. And it's essentially the same reason why the Bucs have looked the way that they have. So, yeah, I'll just kind of leave it at that. The Rams are screwed as far as I see it.
I mean, let's just kind of look it over from an overall perspective, right? We're looking at just statistically, the Rams didn't have the worst game in the world, right? And neither did the Buccaneers. But you look at and circle one aspect. They both can't run the football. I mean, the Rams were going for 2.8 a carry. The Bucs were going for 2.6 a carry. Matthew Stafford couldn't get anything going in terms of consistency with completion. But again, like Kyle had alluded to, there were no turnovers. Matthew Stafford was also sacked 4 times. Tom Brady was only sacked 1 time. So the offensive line was able to succeed in protecting Brady. He was only hit 3 times. The pressures were there. You know, he obviously felt Aaron Donald and a couple of other defensive linemen. And of course, at the end of the day, when you're shifting and moving around in the pocket to make throws and you're passing it 58 times, there's going to be a point when you're like, damn, I'm tired of running. And again, he's 45. So the Bucs did enough to win this game. And obviously being led in that game-winning drive for Tom Brady to go down the field in however many seconds it was, I forget the number, for them to get this win at home, it was immensely pivotal for this team to completely turn around their season potentially, especially with Atlanta losing. This could be the start of their season turning around. The Rams, we just talked about, there's no shot of them turning this around, especially because of the division that they play in. Obviously, the 49ers are still themselves, and they're getting better as the weeks progress, as they continue to get healthy with the trades that they made. And then, of course, you have the Seattle Seahawks at 6-3, which I will never not say this every time we talk about them, which I know we will talk about them in a few minutes, but damn, I am still in shock that they are as good as they are this year. It is almost impossible for the Rams to get anything going on any facet of the ball. People are saying that it's Sean McVay's fault. People are saying that it's management's fault for making the deals with the devil that they did in terms of trading away their future for all the players that they acquired last year. Obviously, they go and get OBJ. They obviously go and get Von Miller. They go and they get all these other pieces, and it's just like you traded your entire future away for pieces that are not playing very well. And of course, you know, at the end of the day, Von Miller ends up leaving to go sign with Buffalo, but it is what it is at that point. That's just the nature of the business side. The Rams can't get it going, right? So I'm going to give you guys one more stat here, or should I say one more couple of numbers. So Cooper Kupp did his thing with a bad ankle or a bad knee, whichever the injury was prior to the game.
It was an ankle. It was an ankle.
Okay, so it was the ankle. He goes for 127 yards and a touchdown, right? 9 targets, a 69-yard longest reception. The next person's Allen Robinson, 3 for 24, 5 targets. Everybody else, garbage. Absolutely garbage. Van Jefferson, 0. Skorowick, 0. Darrell Henderson, 0. Bryson Hopkins, 0. Tyler Higbee, 0. Brandon Powell, 0 in terms of receptions, but they were targeted. Oh, excuse me. Brandon Powell had 1 reception. What are you supposed to do when all you throw to is Cooper Kupp? He is the definition of a force-fed receiver. That is another problem, that Matthew Stafford does not trust anybody else outside of Cooper Kupp. So that's how I'm going to end it. The Bucs get a close win, like we said it would be, and the Rams just continue to falter and look worse and worse pretty much every single week. If the Bucs can find a way to use this as an anchor to catapult them back into contention or to relevancy, then so be it. It's nothing to be proud of because you have your 45-year-old quarterback throwing the ball damn near 60 times, but it's a win. So ugly or good, a win is a win. And obviously, you know, that's what matters most in this league.